You know when you lock in on a project and finish it really quickly, but then procrastinate on the last step for so long that you almost forget about it entirely? And by that point you get other more time-sensitive things to focus on, so you just keep putting it off indefinitely? Yeah, that's kind of what happened to this video. I suppose we could use this as an opportunity to finally implement some changes around here. There we go. That is much better. I believe a reintroduction is also in order, since this video should hopefully bring in some new faces. With that being said, hello and welcome to all the Bumbles, new and old. Why Bumbles? Because like bumblebees, online audiences are great and sweet, and I love them so much, but they make me very nervous when there's a lot of them or if they get a little bit too close. Now a little bit about me. I'm Witty Mumble. I've been posting on this channel on and off since middle school. Don't ask to see those videos, I will be taking them to my grave. And if you couldn't tell, I like to draw. Enough to willingly put my future self into debt, as I am now on my second year of working towards a design degree. University is my latest excuse for why I haven't posted in ages. Minus my 2 most recent videos. Speaking of which, thank you so much for the love and attention on those. It means the literal world to me. I feel so honored. But no, those 2 just kinda happened. Almost like I was possessed by something. Anyway, I think it's about time I actually got around to the meat and potatoes, so to speak. Why am I making this video? What you can see me drawing right now is a card for the SCP Tarot project. The project is run by Obscure Fandom Tarot. They're a volunteer group that, well, organizes tarot card projects for obscure fandoms. Previously, they've organized and done a physical run for the anniversary of the web series Marble Hornets, and the goal now is to do the same but themed around the SCP Foundation. Proceeds from these projects go straight to charity, and the SCP Tarot deck sales will be going directly to RAIN and the Kidney Cancer Association. If that sounds like something you'd like to get behind, I'll have Obscure Fandom Tarot's linktree chucked in the video description. And if you're an artist, then hey, there's still a lot of cards in the deck left unclaimed. Perhaps one of them has your name on it. So what is it that I decided to contribute to this project? If you recognize the entity I'm drawing right now, then you probably know a lot more about it than I do. I actually didn't know about this SCP before finding out about the project, but this card is dedicated to SCP-8400, and even if you aren't all that big on SCPs, I would highly recommend reading the file or document or whatever else you would call it for this thing, because it made me feel things. I love the themes. I love smart and snarky characters being smart and snarky towards each other. There's references to other entities and locations that made me want to dig deeper and possibly actually get into SCPs properly and just go read it! I mean, obviously you don't have to. It's not like I have the means to make you read it. Not any that I know of, anyway. Hell, go in reverse order if you'd like. Finish this and use it as incentive to read the article. My point is, it's very well written, it's written by Pepper's Ghost and Uncle Nicolini, and from what I've been told, those 2 names are pretty well known in the fandom, and for good reason. I'll try to keep the details sparse so that those of you who chose Spite still have incentive to read, but SCP-8400 is an entity from an ancient race that manifests from a specific species of birch tree, and then wreaks havoc on whatever populated area it appears nearest to before promptly being off for 5 years. That is, until a Foundation researcher approaches it and proposes that they play a game that would help the entity find what it had been seeking out all this time. Now, despite applying for a tarot card project, I don't actually know all that much about tarot besides the names and major arcanas and such, but the theme of self-fulfillment, of trying to find your missing piece, and getting some kind of personal closure, and the cyclical nature of the entity literally disintegrating and regrowing over and over again. It sounded like a pretty perfect SCP to assign to— Yes, thank you Dio, buddy. Love the enthusiasm. I'm sure I'll get around to finishing your show sometime before retirement. The World card. Obviously, with this being a fandom deck, the rules on sticking to the actual tarot card elements weren't very strict. I'm sure there are some that are, but that wasn't the case here. But I did still want to call back to some of the main themes in the piece. I had a few different compositions that I tried out before I got anywhere near the screen recorder so that I could freely discuss them with the project Discord, but I ended up settling on this one of Director Martlet and SCP-8400 in the middle of a game of chestnuts. It's kind of a mixture of the elements that were my favorite or that I found most interesting from their first and second encounter. The second one happens in the spring, so I thought the bright greens would make the forest seem very bright and dramatic. Actually, I thought it was summer the whole time, but I don't think that matters too much in this case. And I know that it's only by the third encounter that Director Martlet wears her hair loose, but I thought it would make her more visually interesting, and let me avoid having to figure out her face. But I did keep her clothing quite plain and proper, with a cheeky little SCP logo on the shoulder. I also included the vines that appeared throughout their first encounter. There's not much description of them, so I just chose a classic English ivy to go with the European birch, and remember that one redraw I did like 3 years ago? Probably not, but I remember being really proud of the ivy, and actually that piece is just really good comparison for this one because it features ivy, a skull, and a bright and sunny forest scene. And I gotta say, I don't think I was ever as proud of that one as I am of this. I feel like fucking David Armsby talking about Hive. I mean, just look at the difference! I used a stamp to guide my placement, I used color variation to make it more natural, the background actually has dimension instead of looking like a poorly made stage prop, the trees in the background actually have leaves, and the sky isn't green anymore! Well, mostly. It's only green where it needs to be. Where was I? Alright, leaves. We're still technically on the topic of leaves. I tried to make the vines, and a lot of the other elements actually, wrapped around the piece in a sort of spiral to carry over that whole circle of life and the cycle of the universe look. Plus it just helps with the classic art theory and composition things. Light and shadow, foreground and background, drawing the eye to the center of the piece and to the main event. And finally, speaking of the main event, the devil from the Bible of this whole thing. SCP-8400 was really fun to work on. There is already quote-unquote footage of it on the website, but since this whole thing is reincarnating and changing form, and since I'm the artist and do what I want, I decided to expand on it a little. The armor to me looked very Roman, so I used that as the main inspiration, but I tried to soften it to make it look like it was either carved or grown from, like, tree roots or something. I covered the robe or skirt with peeling bark, darker and older looking the lower it goes. And it's kinda hard to see in the final product, but I gave the skull a subtle wood grain. Then of course there are the antlers, which I noticed that the article mentioned them having soft tissue organs resembling lidded eyes that constantly shift across the surface. But I couldn't really see them on the ones in the photos, so I made sure to fix that. I love me some many-eyed horrors, that's why I got into the Magnus archives. Sort of. But yeah, I think it's nice and subtle and adds that extra little bit of spook. Plus it looks like those birch trees with knots that look like eyes that everyone is linking to the bit. Damn it, I just can't get away from him, can I? Serves me right for feeding his book with blood, I guess. Anyway, I believe that is basically everything that I wanted to say about the piece. If you'd like to see some of the other cards in progress in this deck, or if you're an artist who's keen on tarot or SCP or drawing for charity, maybe add your own one to the roster. There's still plenty of slots left. If I feel like it, or have the time, I might draw another one. Probably a minor arcana though, if that's the case, and I'm not sure if I'll make a video on it. Regardless, as mentioned, I will have the link tree with all the Obscure Fandom Tarot social media and info linked below, and one last thing before I sign off, while working on this video, something happened that I did not expect. After hovering around 70 subscribers for about 4 years, we've hit triple digits? I don't know if that's much cause for celebration, but it has been a goal for me personally, and I am absolutely ecstatic. I am so glad you guys are here. I don't know, should I do something to celebrate? Maybe a Q&A or something? Draw some requests? I don't know. If you have any questions or ideas, throw them in the comment section. Or join the Discord, or check me and ask on Tumblr where there's probably a higher chance I'll see them. All of those will be linked below. I did also have another animatic idea that was a little more suggestive. Or I don't know, I could just clean up that Bill animatic that finally tipped the scale. God damn it, Bill again! Thank you so much for watching all the way through. Enjoy the final b-roll. A higher quality image will be linked below. Check out the SCP Fandom Tarot project and Obscure Fandom Tarot. And kindly buzz off.